Hey OTCers, Andy here at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, where we've just come to the end of what is surely the shock result of the Club World Cup so far. PSG 0, Botafogo 1. And I guess if you were looking for a sporting reason to back this tournament, this would be it. The champions of Europe versus the champions of South America. We didn't expect the champions of South America to come through though. And having watched PSG a lot of times in the flesh this season, I think it's about the 10th time I've seen them so far this season, I think the message that PSG and maybe Luis Enrique should take from this is you can't mess with the secret sauce too much, even if you're Luis Enrique, because so far in this Club World Cup they've lived a bit of a charmed life, really, PSG. Not in any way diminishing the quality of their performance against Atletico in that first game, in which they were spectacular, and this stadium with 80,000 people was absolutely wrapped, so excited and so in awe really of the sort of performance that they managed to put out. They played with intensity and intelligence as well on that Sunday midday kickoff, PSG. But this was a really different game, and having gone through a few injuries, of course, no Barcola available for the first game, or not available to start anyway. They're still taking it easy with Ousmane Dembélé, maybe their player of the season. Of course, you heard DJ Snake giving it the big licks about how he should be the Ballon d'Or. Not the only one, of course. So those were two big players to miss. But then they made some big changes in midfield today, and we saw Warren Zaire-Emery come in, we saw João Neves, we saw Fabián Ruiz drop out, and that made a massive difference. We've seen them been able to skate through the loss of Dembélé, but this time it was a few changes too many. Maybe you could argue Lucas Beraldo meant the defence was a little bit more vulnerable. If you look at the goal scored on the break by Igor Jesus, and Nottingham Forest fans, you've got something waiting for you, because oh my gosh, there is a centre forward. He led the line brilliantly all night and deserved that deflection, that bit of luck off Pacho that led to the goal going past Donnarumma in the first half. But it just felt like too many changes tonight. Now look, I know PSG are kind of between a rock and a hard place. Like a lot of European teams out here, they're just tired and they've got to make their squads work for them. You think PSG have a better stacked squad than most, so a few changes should be okay. I think changing 2 out of the 3 in midfield really disrupted their rhythm big time. We've heard a couple of the players speaking afterwards. We heard from Warren Zaire-Emery, we heard from Lucas Hernandez, who of course came into the team as well, another change instead of Nuno Mendes, and we heard from Kvaratskhelia, and they were all sort of going with the line that, well, okay, we've been here before, where we've dominated and we've created chances. But I don't know about you if you've seen the game, but I can't remember that many super clear chances for PSG. You had that one at the beginning from Kvaratskhelia, really well saved by John. Not quite as good as the one up this end from Jan Oblak, where he pushed Kvaratskelia's shot onto the bar at the weekend, but still a good save and a vital save. That's the important thing, because if they'd have conceded a goal in the first couple of minutes, this game is totally different. But after that, the chances really dried up for PSG. And you saw Botafogo, the way they defended, the way they were set up by Renato Paiva, their coach, was absolutely brilliant. Sometimes they had 4 at the back, sometimes they had 3 at the back, sometimes they had 5 at the back, sometimes they had 6 at the back. But the point was they managed to stop the flow of PSG at all points. So there were times when it sort of resembled an attack versus defence training session. But Botafogo rarely looked like buckling, which I thought was really impressive. And once they had something to hold on to, it was even more complicated for PSG. And they had a plan for PSG all over the pitch. I think when you look at cutting the problems off at source, of course we know Vitinha is so good at creating space, he's so good at dictating the game at exactly the tempo that he wants to do it. He's got the short passing, he's got the long passing, but they took it in turns, and it was mostly Alan, of course, formerly of Everton and Napoli, who just got on Vitinha and made him hurry up on the ball. And you see relatively few teams that are able to do that. So I think the tactical intelligence of this Botafogo team was absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I've seen PSG a lot of times this season. I can't remember many teams that have limited PSG to so few clear chances. Even the teams that really put them in trouble at various points of the Champions League, you think that away leg in the quarter-final against Aston Villa where they got a right old going over, they still created chances, they still scored a couple of goals. Whereas I kind of felt that even if we'd have had 5 or 10 minutes extra, Botafogo probably would have been able to hang in there because they were so well set. Now, we saw Luis Enrique react to what happened in the first half, maybe an acknowledgement that he didn't pick the ideal team. He made those changes. He brought on João Neves. He brought on 4 players, in fact, all at once, a quadruple substitution, less than 10 minutes into the second half. And if there's anything that says we need a bit of pep in our step, that's it. It's something very unusual to see, and particularly unusual to see for PSG, because Luis Enrique doesn't normally need to be that decisive with the subs. He's got his guys and they see him through. They can ride out the rough bits, which is what they've done excellently well this season, even though, as he says, they're a young team and they're learning on the job. But I think you realise that they really missed the energy of João Neves in this. The way he does so much work between the boxes, he never stops running. You've got the composure of Vitinha, and then you've got the precision of Fabián and Ruiz, which they really missed as well. Now, the way those three link and the way those three work together is reminiscent of when we go back to early QSI PSG, where you have Verratti, Motta, Matuidi, one of the ultimate midfields in modern European football. And why it was so good is not just because they're individually brilliant players, but they're all very different and they all click together and they all bring something to the party. Now, what PSG have at the moment with those three, of Fabián, of Neves and Vitinha, they don't have the midfield I think that anyone would have picked for them if we go back a year. But those three complement each other absolutely brilliantly, and that has been something that's key to them going through the season. So I think sometimes we've focused really hard on the brilliance of Kvaratskhelia or of Doué or Ousmane Dembélé, who's gone on this absolutely goal-scoring tear. And don't get me wrong, it'll be a massive boost when he comes back into the team when he's feeling fit enough, which may well be against Seattle Sounders in the third group match. We'll have to wait and see. But I think it's been easy to overlook the fact that, like the previous really great PSG team, they are powered by an absolutely fantastic three-man midfield. And messing with that, I think maybe it's inevitable because you've got to manage the wear and tear of the season, and Luis Enrique has been really, really big on that. He's been really big on giving the players time, giving them a mental breather as well as a physical breather. They've been allowed to go out and see their families and all that sort of stuff. They haven't been cooped up in the hotel all the time. But I guess there are some parts that you just can't do without. And that has been the problem for them today. I've heard it suggested that Fabián Ruiz was maybe left out because he was on a booking from the first game. But if you're going to miss a game, surely it's worth risking missing the Seattle Sounders game in the third game of the group. And now we've got the situation where Botafogo are in control of the group. They've won 2 out of 2, and if they can get a draw out of Atletico Madrid, and I think Atletico were brilliant against Seattle today, they can go through, and what an achievement it will be for them. Things have changed so much since they won the Copa Libertadores. Of course, John Textor shuffling his financial cards between the various pillars, including Lyon, Molenbeek, Crystal Palace, etc. He's really gone and sold some important players for them. Luis Enrique this year, who's of course gone to Russia. So for them to show up and put in such a brilliant performance with the new coach as well, Paiva has done brilliantly well. For them to come and hit hard for South American football and show what South American football is all about. We know that Brazilian teams are the financially most strong in South America, and Botafogo probably quite a good example of that over the last year and a half, 2 years. But to be able to show themselves capable of standing up to the best in Europe, especially after so many changes, I think is really, really impressive. But ending with PSG and where they are, I guess we need some words from the late, recently departed Sly Stone. Everybody is a star, and I think we found that out tonight. It's not just Dembele, it's not just Doué, it's not just the guys who make us get out of our seats and excited about football. Every part of this PSG team is really important. So, like we said, it's a tightrope act to work out, can you keep them fresh, and can you continue with that momentum that they've built up in the back half of the season? Now, of course, even in the back half of the season, we kind of glossed over it because of the brilliance of the Champions League final. There were those little dips when they lost to Nice, when they lost to Strasbourg domestically, when it looked as if they were on for an unbeaten season. You know, those little moments where they kind of needed a breather. So I think we've got to trust Luis Enrique to be able to manage this. But it is tough. And if it seemed on Sunday like it was going to be a procession for PSG in this competition, you know what? Turns out that they're mortal, just like everyone else. Look, thanks for joining us on OTC YouTube as always. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're here every Monday, and maybe the odd extra one like this one during the Club World Cup as well, with football never stopping. And of course, remember to subscribe to the podcast on your podcatcher of choice every Thursday. Me and Dot Adebayo and one of our brilliant guests, including David Cartledge, Nicky Bandini, Lars Sivertsen, Jonathan Johnson. We've got such a brilliant variety, which we're lucky to have. And every Friday, we answer your questions, a show dedicated just to that on OTC. Ask us anything you want on European football. I mean anything. Leave it below the line or get at us on socials. We hope you're enjoying the Club World Cup, and we're going to see you again soon.